Hello, my name is Ben Dowdle, and I work a regular 9-to-5 manual labor job, and I am currently working toward becoming a full-time indie game developer. The game that I'm working on right now is called Now or Later, and in this video, I want to take a quick trip back to when I first started my development journey and kind of go through what kinds of experiences I've had up to now and kind of give you tips and tricks to coming up with your own ideas and actually making your own games a reality. So let's start in the very beginning with how I came up with the ideas and what I did with the ideas. In the beginning, early stages of my game development journey, the ideas for my game didn't come all at once. They showed up in bits and pieces. To explain this a little bit better, I want to go and explain my ideas and put them into 3 separate categories. This being story, mechanical, and world or level design ideas. For me, the main thing was the mechanic. This was the idea that I centralized the rest of my ideas around. This was the idea that you could delete anything, that you can make anything disappear in exchange for a potential consequence or challenge later on in the game. From there, I was able to build my world and story around that idea. Now, I'm not saying that my way is the best way or the only way, because it most certainly isn't. But for those of you getting serious into game development, I would suggest, as you're brainstorming, coming up with ideas, that you might be able to categorize your ideas into these 3 categories, being story, mechanical, and world elements. And from there, you can kind of mix and match until you find something that you like, until something clicks. And then you're left with kind of a Frankenstein monster idea, you know? And, if further down the road you decide things got a little too messy in the idea phase of development, you can cut some of the fluff. There's no problem with cutting things out of your game, just as long as you actually make it happen. It's all trial and error, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Once I landed on the idea that I was happiest with, I started writing and drawing and brainstorming anything and everything that I could to kind of help the development process go faster and to help me deliver the best product that I could. And I drew out maps and character designs, abilities, just about anything that came to mind. For anyone that's curious about how I did this, I went and created an idea board with images and keywords to kind of get my brain juices going. And I used a program called Notion to help me do this. It has really helped me organize my thoughts, and it is a fantastic tool for note-taking, brainstorming, and staying organized as a solo indie dev. If you follow game dev stuff on YouTube, you've probably heard of Thomas Brush, and he talks a lot about all the different hats that you have to wear as a solo indie dev. And geez, I have found that, it's been crazy how accurate that is. I'm constantly switching between marketing and game design and art design and sound design, and it's just so many different hats that I have to constantly switch between, and Notion has definitely helped me keep track of all those, all my hats. It's a nice hat rack. At first, I really thought I had the perfect idea, that my idea was nailed down. I was going to make a 2D top-down roguelike twin stick shooter adventure game, kind of like Enter the Gungeon, but with my own twist on it. And if you've seen the current state of my game, you can obviously tell that's not how it is. And my ideas changed. I mean, it's only natural for your ideas to change. In the beginning, I was super against making a 3D game. I was scared it would be way too difficult, that I would fail and I would fall right on my face, And people always say how difficult, how complicated it is compared to 2D game development. And honestly, I didn't know anything about 3D art or what the programming would entail. I just had no idea what I was getting myself into. But eventually, I decided to give it a shot, and honestly, it wasn't that bad, and I think my game's better off because of it. So don't be afraid to make those decisions that could be better off for your project in the long run. Making a 3D game opposed to a 2D game, that's just what made my game that much better, in my opinion. Making that switch was what really helped me gain a boost of confidence in my game. Don't be afraid, even if this means learning new skills, if it means taking the time to learn those skills. Time is very valuable, and if things don't work out, there is always room to pivot back to where you were at, but there's always the potential of your game being that much better because of these risky ideas, I guess. Alright, so now that I switched things up, I'm making a 3D game instead of a 2D top-down game. What was next? I had my idea, I had brainstormed a whole bunch. The next thing was picking the game engine. I think this is one of the most important decisions that you can make in game development. There isn't a one-size-fits-all choice here, but there is personal preference. It's really what's going to help you create the best possible product that you can. When I first started looking, Unity was going through its whole drama with the runtime fees and all that. It had just barely started. So I really didn't feel comfortable going with them. Just there was too much uncertainty in certain aspects, and I just wasn't comfortable. So then, of course, the other game dev giant, Unreal just seemed too powerful and just contained too much that I didn't know what to do with, So I decided to pass on that. And then, just like that, I came across the rising giant of game engines, being Godot. As I looked further and further into Godot, it just seemed like the perfect match for me. It was simple, it was easy to understand, and it honestly just keeps getting better with each coming update. That said, just because I went with Godot doesn't mean that everyone should. It's, of course, not the right choice for everyone, but I do highly recommend it for its simplicity. And if you're getting into game development, simplicity is one of the best things. So do your homework, find the game engine that's going to work best for you, and go with it. A big part of why I picked Godot over all the other ones was its easy to learn programming language. I'm no expert programmer by any means, but I've done some web development. I do have some experience. I've done HTML, CSS, JavaScript, typical web development stuff. I even made a little 2D platforming game as a website, so I can put the GitHub link to that down in the description if you guys want to check that out. I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it was really fun to make. And with that, I've also played around with Python and C#. And Godot uses its own programming language called GDScript, and this is pretty similar to Python, so it's really easy to read, and so I was able to pick it up pretty easy without too much trouble. So I had my idea all picked out and ready to go. I had my game engine picked out. Next up was actually building a basic prototype, and I spent a fair bit of time learning how to use Godot. And for those of you just starting out, don't know what you're doing in Godot, I would recommend looking up some courses through gamedev.tv. They're pretty frequently on sale, and they are amazing courses. They have some awesome beginner courses that are very beginner friendly, and they teach you the ropes very well. Once I had the basics down, though, I ditched the tutorials as fast as I could, because we all know tutorial hell is a real thing. I started throwing together a very simple sandbox level using simple shapes and colors, and I just wanted to get my mechanics tested and make sure that they were actually going to work. The next thing on my list was learning Blender, but that's a whole nother story for another time, for another video. So let me know in the comments what kinds of things you'd like to know about my game development journey so far, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.